Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And with me today is a single mum, attorney, business owner, and executive search professional who, despite being born with a silver spoon in her mouth, she has survived insurmountable trauma. Candid and Raw, her debut memoir, Blooming, takes you on a treasure hunt to discover the gifts in the shit. Carrington, Carrie Smith, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Hi, thanks, Dave. Happy to be here.
Happy you are here, Carrington. Well, I'm quite intrigued by your book. I did take a little dip into your manuscript, it's gone through quite some realities in life, really, what people can go through. So quite fittingly, towards the end of that introduction, could do that. And the show is about how people can, get through the ups and downs of life, adversity, and that. So It's great that you're on the show. So you included a section called "Why I Wrote This Book" in the first chapter. Yeah. Please share its contents with our listeners, and we'll go through the whole book as well, the content of the whole book.
Well, just by way of background, for years I wrote short stories and kind of was like, well, who's going to care? I didn't know if I had an audience or why they were relevant to people, and never could quite knit a book together. And then when the pandemic hit, it was like a light switch. I suddenly felt compelled to write a book because I suddenly understood that it was my very ordinariness that made me relatable. And that with the pandemic, it was a universal trauma that we were all experiencing. And I realized that my life experiences, and sadly, are things that many of us go through, and that the lessons that I learned from those experiences were things that I could share with the world to help kind of leave a roadmap for how others might take their traumas and difficulties and adversities and turn them into things that actually propel them through life.
Yeah, wow. That quite sums up why you wrote it. So let's take a deep dive into the book and see what was going on. Well, let's go from the beginning of your life anyway, in general, before we sort of go into what was thrown at you, when you sort of wanted to sort of find your own
trauma.
Way in life.
Yes.
Yeah. What was your background? I mean, when you was young and that, where was you growing up, and your parents and that?
Yeah. Well, so this is one place where I would say I feel like I have a little different experience than a lot of people, and that is that my great-great-grandfather founded International Paper Company, which is the largest pulp and paper company in the world.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Have I heard of it?
What?
Have I heard of it? I don't know the name of it.
It's traded on the New York Stock Exchange, International Paper Company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. International company.
Yeah. And one of my other relatives actually had a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. He'd founded a brokerage firm, and they founded a couple of banks and things. And so I was raised in this family that had epic success. Yet somehow the family money did not pass on to our family. And so we had a family that was incredibly full of resentment, but also still clinging to social status and trying to still keep up with the Joneses and stay in all the right clubs. And there was just a lot of anger, resentment, dissatisfaction, but also a highly demanding and competitive environment.
Yeah. Well, that quite sums that up as well. So you've grown up young through that, really. So you probably didn't see the rich side of it or the kind of wealthy side of it.
I didn't see the way my grandmother lived it. I mean, she lived in a 20-room mansion full of servants and, you know, the house on the Gold Coast. And I mean, literally, it's like
where is the Gold Coast, by the way? I know the one in Australia, but...
Yeah. So on Long Island, there's an area that's referred to as the Gold Coast.
Yeah,
and
New York.
At the turn of the century, it was the home of the highest concentration of wealth in the world.
In the world?
In the world. Okay. Yeah, it's where the Rockefellers and DuPonts and Astors and all, you know, those types of people had homes there. And that it's the place where The Great Gatsby, it was situated. That book was about the Gold Coast, if anybody's read that.
Now I got that now. Okay, well, let's take a deep dive into your book. So chapter 1's about finding my voice. We'll just have some little summaries of it so people can obviously buy the book and find out more, can't they, really?
Sure. So I start the book with this chapter, and it's about my rape. I was raped in college.
Yeah.
And I start the book with this chapter, and I call it Finding My Voice because it's the very first story that I ever wrote.
Yeah.
And just, you know, very quickly, after I was raped, I was told to never speak of it to anyone, both by my sorority sister and by my mother. And so I kept it a secret. And I did what a lot of people do when they go through that. I just was like, well, if I don't talk about it, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
The monster kind of under the bed.
Me Too campaign.
Yeah. Like but when you don't deal with it, it actually comes to own you.
Yeah.
And when I got to law school, I had a blow up with a guy that I was seeing, and it compelled me to want to have to explain to him why I was behaving the way that I was. And I found it was a whole lot easier to write my story than to tell it, where I would get that immediate feedback or judgment. That was just too hard for me. And so it was the first story that I wrote.
In this book?
No, in life.
Oh, but...
It is the first story in the book, but it's the first story I ever wrote about myself.
Okay, but you wrote it during the pandemic, the first story you wrote about yourself.
Well, I actually wrote that story originally in law school.
Oh,
and the first chapter, but I've rewritten it probably about 10 different times from different directions.
Yeah.
And so when I knitted it into the book, I wrote it from a different direction. And actually the benefit of that is, as opposed to just talking about what happened to me, I walk the reader through my journey of healing and how I was able to take something so horrible and awful and repurpose it into something that serves me now and actually works as a launch pad to propel me through life. And I give some examples of other people doing that. And so that's the benefit of rewriting that and sharing it in that way.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, let's move on to the next chapter. Family legacy. I know you went through this already. So is that generally what you mentioned, or is there anything to add onto that?
That's most of it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, what kind of a period of time was that? The 1920s or 30s or something? Well, that's going too far back. Sorry if I apologize.
No. Further back, actually, because my grandmother had her debut at the Ritz-Carlton in New York City in 1932. Okay. And this was not her father, but her grandfather that founded International Paper Company.
Okay.
So that kind of gives you a scope as to the time.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Interesting stuff. It's all during the Prohibition and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yes.
And between World War I and II for any UK listeners, well, anywhere in the world, because that was also going on internationally as well, wasn't it? At the same time? So that was interesting. Okay, well, let's talk about daddy issues, because I'm actually a father, a bit of an older father, if you like, a mature father. So I could probably learn from this as well, or even relate to
not.
it. Okay, let's see.
So My father, he had polio when he was 5 years old.
Oh, right, okay.
And
That was kind of a pandemic, wasn't it, at that time?
it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, he became an infectious disease doctor.
He did?
He did.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, which is obviously a lot of them are relying on for D-Day now.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, but because of that trauma, he had a desperate need to control his world and everyone around him. And he felt that he came from that place of powerlessness. And that, childhood trauma was the seed that birthed his personality. And unfortunately, my father is a malignant narcissist. He absolutely demanded our total submission. He completely controlled our lives to the point that we were extensions of him. We had to have his same thoughts, opinions, ideas. He dictated what we ate, what we did.
Wow.
I mean, it was, yeah.
So that's the daddy issues kind of summed up around the word narcissist.
Summed up,
I
yeah. I
suppose.
tell some very specific stories that really
Yeah.
let the reader know about how happened in my life, yeah.
Yeah, great. And so comparison kills. Sorry about my dyslexia, it's jumping over my tongue there a bit.
No worries. So comparison is the thief of joy, is what that's about. And I tell this story about how my father very deliberately would compare me to my sister. And I mean, one of the stories I tell is about how I asked him as a little girl if I was pretty. And he looked me up and down and said, no, I don't want to set you up for disappointment in life. It's better you just know now you're not pretty. But your sister, she's beautiful. And it wasn't until...
And that's coming from a family member?
That's my father.
Yeah, your father.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's actually a mechanism that malignant narcissists use. It's to divide the family.
Yeah.
So everyone's competing for his attention.
Right,
and so it was a very deliberate
So it was an attention-seeking kind of behavioural thing because the narcissists want the attention on them, don't
Exactly, right.
It's all about me kind of thing, you know.
Yep.
They put down other people just to say, obviously.
Well, and it also, what it did is it caused competition for his affection between not just me and my sister and brother, but also me, my sister, brother, and mother. So we all competed for his affection. It created a very toxic environment. Yeah,
toxic's probably a good word to use there. And I don't want to get into your issues. I mean, I know a narcissist. I know how narcissist operates in families. That I can say that. I can experience and relate to that myself. So, yeah. What's the difference between malignant narcissists and narcissists in general?
Well, there are 4 different types of narcissists, and they each have their own set of characteristics. And the malignant narcissist is the most toxic and the worst form of narcissist on the spectrum of narcissism.
Wow. I'm going to have to study that one for some of my coaching side.
They're sometimes confused with psychopaths.
Yeah, because obviously these are really uncoachable people as well, usually, that I come across. And, usually I don't care if you want to give me £2,000 to coach you for over months. I just don't want to coach a person like you. It's not going to be worth it.
Right. Well, understanding the difference between a malignant narcissist and a psychopath is really important. Kind of knowing how to deal with them.
Right,
yeah. I've had lots of therapy.
Yeah. Wow. Well, anyway, you've learned a lot as well by the sounds of things, which is good. Family rejection, which obviously can obviously relate to that last bit there that you said. Well, the last 2 bits, daddy issues and rejection as well, yeah.
Well, the family rejection aspect really had to do with my grandmother, my mother's mother.
Right.
She was also a narcissist and ruled our extended family as the matriarch with, a steel fist and demanded that we all do the types of things that she wanted. And one of those things was play tennis.
Right.
And it wasn't until later in life that I found out that I actually have an issue. I have a paralyzed nerve in one of my eyes. And so every time I go to hit a ball, I miss because one eye sees it at one height and the other sees it at another. And if I'm doing something slowly, my brain can merge the two images and get it right. But when it's something coming at me fast, like a tennis ball, I will miss 85% of the time. The other is just dumb luck.
Yeah, I'm with you there, yeah. It's kind of like only one eye is partially sighted kind of thing, but it's more of a nerve thing rather than a sight. It's total sight.
I have a paralyzed nerve. And anyway, I was rejected by my family because I couldn't play tennis.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. That's pretty nasty thing to because it's almost like, these days I don't know if it's classed as a disability, but, it's still along those lines, isn't it, really?
But doesn't it tell you something about my family that a member of the family would be valued on their ability to play a sport, not on who they are, what their character was, their ability to relate to you, or, it's about loving human beings, not loving human doings. Yeah. And because I couldn't do tennis, I wasn't loved. I was not even just not loved, I was thoroughly rejected. And basically it was communicated that the rest of the family should not, love me.
I like tennis and I did sports myself, but there were family members of mine that couldn't do sports, but that doesn't mean they're rejected. Do you see what I mean? They went on and did other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fitness was my thing, up to today, but it doesn't have to be, fitness is different. You can still keep fit and not play sport. You could keep fit just from general means, can't you?
I'm very into fitness. But I just can't hit a ball.
Yeah. So that's a different thing altogether. Hand-eye coordination, that kind of thing, that's a different thing. And I got that a lot in the fire service where, maybe, I have dyslexia, which obviously it actually attracts a lot of firefighters. Just don't like reading, obviously, with your dad's business. But obviously, there's obviously other issues that they don't see it in dyslexic people, and then it can make you get bullied and harassed like I did in life, so that's kind of that. Just relating to that side of things. Because what you had was invisible as well, you didn't realise it until later,
Yeah.
So I can relate to that as well, yeah. Right, so money, men and marriage. And obviously there are men these days that are a lot of, women, female, I don't know if feminist is the right word to use, but, activists are saying, look, women are being treated this way in life, but men keep coming on board and stop this kind of, harassment with women and, actually be advocates to the Me Too campaign as well, So, I know it's not a dig at men, in terms of how you're saying it like that, are you really, I suppose?
No, it's not a dig at men at all.
No.
It's just an acknowledgement by me of how men, money, and marriage are all intertwined based on my upbringing and the example my parents set and my own 2 failed marriages. I acknowledge how those things are intertwined. And then as I tell those stories, I walk the reader through and explain how I realize that, again, it's not about loving someone for the amount of money they have. It's about being able to be loved and have the money separate. As I like to say, I deserve to have love and money. It's not either or. And I've never dated a man because of the size of his wallet. Yeah. So that's not what that's about. But it is about how that relationship is all intertwined.
Yeah. I don't know. I've heard things throughout my life where when this conversation comes up that it's kind of a security thing. I don't know if that's right, like within that. And obviously money is the way to say, look, we need money to pay the bills, to blah, blah. It's more like that. And obviously in the evolution days, it's a kind of a hunter-gatherer thing, isn't it, really? Where, obviously these days it isn't because women go out and have a career. But, in the older days it was, I'm in a nest looking after everyone. Where's the money coming from,
Well, what's funny is that even today, there's still that tension between should I stay home with my kids? Should I give up my career?
Yeah.
Or should, I continue in my career? And, I decided to always keep working. And that ended up to be the right decision for me.
Yeah. That's where it is at these days with, women in career, women as well. Any women that wants to just go out and work. So I just want to work, I don't care. It don't look like a career to you, but I like to go out and work.
Yeah.
And these days, either both go to work or one stays home. The male stays home as a husband or parent. That kind of thing. So that's not unusual these days either. So. Okay, well, that's quite straightforward, really. There is divorce, and you mentioned about that briefly in the other one as well, didn't you? You had 2 failed marriages.
2 failed marriages. Why I separate that out into a separate chapter is because I really wanted to underscore what I learned from getting divorced. And after my second divorce, somebody said to me, with adversity comes opportunity. And here I am on my second divorce, and I'm just crying in my Wheaties, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't want to hear it. But those words stayed with me. And the more I thought about that, I realized that divorce gave me a clean slate. I was free from the cages of my marriage, of society. I received a lot of rejection and shame from my friends for getting divorced. So suddenly I was pushed out of my friend group. I had the ability to create my own life, design it how I wanted to for the first time in my life without feeling, the cages of my parents, my spouse, my friends, society. And so divorce represented freedom and opportunity. And that's kind of the spot in the book where I help people take the things that happen to them and flip them on their head and say, you can view this as just simply this is a horrible experience. Or you can view it as, what am I going to get out of this and where's the opportunity in it?
Yeah.
And I do that throughout the book.
Yeah. And of course, we also mentioned about career a bit. Obviously, in the last bit before divorce. So I suppose that's going through your what was it again? Legal career, was it?
Yeah. So I practiced law for 7 years before getting into the executive search business, focusing primarily on lawyers, but I do other executive searches for Fortune 500 companies and AmLaw 100 law firms.
All right. So you just go into that a bit about your career.
I do. Well, yeah, I do. Well, and I think one of the things I talk about there is about how a lot of times we benefit from being more strategic than just doing like a shotgun approach to things in life, just really taking a step back and thinking it through and being more strategic. And then also, one of the other recurring themes in my career has been swimming the opposite direction of the crowd. Right.
You mean? All right. Okay. Well, I don't understand that.
You don't understand that. So, no. When I started into the executive search business, it was right around the time of the internet boom.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was crazy. All these startups were happening, and every lawyer wanted to leave their firm and go be a general counsel of a startup. Yeah. And all these California law firms were opening in Texas and opening up these huge offices. And everybody was chasing the same thing. And I saw how 95% of the people who did what I was doing were chasing the same companies and firms. And it dawned on me that 95% of the firms and companies weren't getting any attention. And by shifting my focus, instead of just doing what everybody else was doing and shifting it the other direction, I found all this opportunity. And then when the internet went bust, I had relationships with the companies that were more diverse and not so heavy on technology. And I was still busy. So it's kind of like a lot of times we want to jump, into something, into a stock, into a job or career because it's the hot thing. And I think it really always pays just to kind of sit back and just doing like an analysis of the market or the opportunity and approaching things from a more strategic direction.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's just fast forward a bit to some kind of more adversity parts. I mean, obviously, I see that you've lost some friends to cancer, which is something I'm experiencing myself.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, you know what they've gone through as well.
Yeah.
And dementia as well.
Yeah, my mom, she passed away from
right.
dementia.
Yeah, so what's going on there with those areas of things?
Well, so there's a lot in the book. There's a lot of things that I've been through a lot. But my mother was diagnosed with dementia literally within 2 weeks of my first son being born.
Oh, right, okay.
And 9 days after my first son was born, my mother-in-law passed away suddenly.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, yeah.
And then my father-in-law passed away the year before. So all of a sudden, my first son is born, and we have no grandparents except for my father, the malignant narcissist.
Yeah.
It was a blow. And then watching my mother suffer and being with a man who just didn't even see her. He would put her in the shower and say, wash your hair, and she would just stand there and he wouldn't help her. He'd be like, well, she's not doing it. So she was walking around looking like a homeless person. Yeah. I mean, it's just...
And that's really the dementia doing that, really.
Well, but as I said to him, if you have a baby, do you tell it to change its diaper?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah. I remember having a neighbour once, and his wife had a stroke, and then she kind of got it recovered a little bit, and then it came back. And he really wasn't sympathetic to all. I don't know what their relationship was like. I mean, obviously, they're a lot older than me. It's quite a long time back. They're both passed away now. Obviously, she passed away first. And I just couldn't understand why, the stroke was getting worse. It couldn't be cured, but, because it's kind of like a longer form of like a heart
exactly
thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Issue,
yeah.
So he didn't really understand that and just said, well, get with it, blah, blah, blah. How can you? It's like that. It's something affecting the brain,
Yeah. No, what's hard too is for anybody who suffers from Alzheimer's or dementia is that people get tired of hearing about it. And they're like, when she passed, everybody's like, oh, that must be such a relief. And I'm like, no, now I get to mourn. I mean, it's like this, you're getting sort of angry because you've lost your mom and, she can't communicate with you. And then you have those mixed feelings of, well, is this what my life's going to turn out like? And there are just so many emotions knitted into that. And to have your friends be like, oh, that's over. I mean,
until they go through it themselves.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, everyone's different as well,
Right.
So, I mean, some people mourn for years or, decades even, and that's okay, but others will try and move on, and it depends on the relationship. Like you say, your father might have not had a different kind of way of mourning, so it's kind of like that, really, So some people just get over stuff just generally through whatever they do, so... but not in a bad way, They obviously mourned because they felt it. But
right. Well, part of what I try to...
There's no right and wrong, is there?
No. Part of what I try to share in the book is that, when somebody passes, it's... Be really careful what you say and how you handle it, because you do not know what they're experiencing or how they're feeling. Yeah. And just honor their grief and just know that they're going to do it their own way, but don't be dismissive like, glad that's over,
Yeah. All right, well, let's see if we can find another kind of, obviously recognizing evil is something we've been speaking about during your journey in life, and obviously it's something I.
Well, one of the things that why I actually pulled that and made it its own chapter is because there are physical cues we get when we're around evil. Yeah. And I don't know that people actually understand that. And I think that's why a lot of people get into trouble.
Yeah.
Our body actually sends us signals. And one of those is revulsion. You get that physical feeling of just, ugh, get away from me. And it can actually evolve over time. So if someone is really overtly evil, you'll feel that immediately. But if someone is more dangerous evil, where they are like manipulative and they're kind of weaving their way in and out of your life, it happens over time. And then
those people.
And the other way you physically respond to evil is through confusion. And so let me give you an example. When Enron was the big scandal, everybody would say, I don't know what they're doing. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But hey, we're all getting on the bandwagon because they're making money. And even their bankers would say, I don't get it. They're smarter than we are. And one of my takeaways from that was they did a great job of causing confusion. And because they were creating confusion because they didn't want people to know what they were up to. And so when you start feeling confused, that is a big red flag. Acknowledge it and say, okay, if this person can't break this down into an understandable form and communicate to me what's going on here, I have a real reason to be worried.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Well, we're going to have to summarise the rest of the book, unless there's a chapter outstanding, more to do with overcoming adversity and there's kind of, stuff thrown your way, if you like, garbage.
Well, one of the overarching theme of the book is that the traumas and difficulties of our life, the shit, is quite literally fertilizer. And part of our journey has to be acknowledging the parts of our life that are shitty in order to find the gifts. And I think a lot of times we do this like, oh, everything's great, I'm all good. And if we don't acknowledge the monster under the bed, if we don't face our traumas and label them and understand them and then do the work to get better, then we're going to be left, muddling through all that. But once that you acknowledge the shit, and I like to say, I have to reach rage to reach forgiveness. A lot of us women, we're not allowed to get mad. So acknowledge I was raped and I get to be pissed about that. But I don't want to live in the being pissed world. So get to rage to reach forgiveness and go through that process. And then
you have a choice.
Absolutely. And then take what was done to me and use it to serve me and propel me through life. And I walk through stories about that in the book. I think would be super helpful to a lot of people.
That's fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah, I did some personal development work around that with a few well-known kind of corporates there before, all this pandemic hit us. But it's great. I know people now have penned a book during the pandemic, and obviously this is quite a good one that you've got. I mean, what kind of urged you during the pandemic to kind of sit down and go, I'm going to write this book? I mean, a lot of people did find time to suddenly do that, this is quite an interesting thing to just bring everything in your life and sort of say, I
just really suddenly had that light bulb go on that all these experiences in my life could be beneficial to other people because I have done the work and I can actually not just say this horrible thing happened to me, but this is what I went through. This is how I healed. This is how I'm using it. And one of the things I know you talk about resilience and how important that is.
Yeah.
And I like to say mindset is a muscle. And so with each one of these traumas, I experienced emotional resilience. And so because I had been through so much, when COVID hit, I actually said, bring it. I was like, I've been through so much. I know I will get through this. And that's when I had that light bulb moment. Wait, I'm responding to this much differently than other people. Maybe I can help people understand why that is. And it has to do with that mindset muscle of emotional resilience and knowing that I would get through this.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that as well. And that is what resilience is. It's kind of something built up, and you can't build it yourself, even though some have it more than others. It's kind of levels that you have to keep it up. People that do fitness, we spoke about fitness, some might be fitter than others or, naturally gifted or whatever, but, you can't you can't just say I'm fit and that's it. You still got to kind of carry it on and build up and
absolutely,
both internally and externally. And resilience is more of an internal thing, really. So fantastic, great. That's really great conversation with you and around this book as well. As I say, it's quite unique, really, that you've written it like that and about yourself. To I'm sure it's helping others as well, not only during the pandemic, but obviously for any areas of life that
absolutely. Yeah, I like to say this book is about me because it's a memoir, but it's not about me. It's about
I know.
It's about things we all go through.
Yeah, that's right. That's kind of how it comes across, actually. Yeah. Where can readers and audience and anyone who is coming across this conversation get it from? Or find out more about you?
Sure. So my author website is Carrington-Smith.com. And you can find the book, Blooming, Finding Gifts in the Shit of Life by Carrington Smith on Amazon.com. And it's also available in audiobook format. So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Well, Carrie or Carrington, I don't know which one to call you.
All my friends call me Carrie. That's fine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like Dave or David,
Yeah.
But well, Carrie, thanks a lot for coming on the show. It's been a great conversation, and obviously, fantastic book to talk about on the show as well. So thanks a lot for coming to do that for me and the listeners today.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. Or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.